is so quick. Oh, that noise. Woo! Hello everyone, my name is Jimmy and this is the Mercedes-Benz AMG E63s Wagon. Yeah, it's a fast one. There's 603 horsepower, 627 pound-feet of torque. So 0 to 60, car and driver tested about 3 seconds. 3 seconds! That's ridiculous. And not only is it a ridiculously fast wagon, it also looks really, really good. So let's talk about how it looks a little bit first before we get back out here for a drive. But, I mean, it deserves another boot first. Oh, that exhaust note. Oh, that's a good exhaust note. Alright, the looks. For 2021, the E-Wagon has been updated. We get a revised front end. The headlights, they lose the distinctive E-Class dual LED strip, but these are actually still really, really nice. Between the lights, we still have the Mercedes Panamericana grille and some massive openings below to show you that this is really a performance vehicle. On the side, we have your typical wagon silhouette. There's a heavy belt line on the side, and we do have a little badge on the front fender to indicate what's underneath that hood. Around back, we got updated taillights, a beautiful chrome strip that connects it to, and down below, rifled quad exhaust tips that actually don't connect to the exhaust itself, but there is a little bit of a diffuser in the center. Overall, the E63s, I mean, it looks great, but it's a very understated, sleeper type look. It's not flashy. I mean, if you compare this to like the RS6, the RS6 has big grills and big bulgy fenders. This looks like a typical wagon. It flies under that radar, which for some is exactly what they're looking for. Let's talk about the interior, starting with the trunk. As it is a wagon, there's a massive 35 cubic feet in here. The hatch itself opens up nice and tall, allowing even for taller people to go right up to the rear bumper without hitting your head. The tonneau cover pops up automatically, allowing you to have access to everything within. There's even little switches on the side to fold the rear seats down to haul longer items. This actually is bigger than some SUVs. In fact, it's bigger than the GLE. Moving to the rear seats, there's plenty of room in here. Sure, it's not as high riding as some SUVs, but it's still very comfortable in here. Headroom and legroom are both plentiful, and we have heated seats, baby shades on the side to keep your kiddos away from the sun. And if you are interested, I actually have a separate video that I'll link up here of how the Collect Ling as well as the Collect Foomph fits inside this vehicle. Little bit of a tip, the Foomph fits okay, but because of how it's positioned, a rearward facing seat may actually hit the back of the passenger seat if you're putting on the passenger side. So that seat actually has to move quite far forward, so much so that I, at 5'11", don't fit that well. If you're like 5'4", 5'2", or less, then you'll be fine. But at 5'11", it's just not that great. It's just a little tight. In any case, what about the front seats? Well, these are really, really comfortable. They're heated, they're massaging, they're cooled, there's active bolsters. It has everything that you really need in an all-purpose vehicle, which this kind of is. In front, I do have an updated Mercedes steering wheel. Since the introduction of this generation of E-Class back in 2017, this is the third generation of steering wheel that we got. They said you can't reinvent the wheel, but Mercedes definitely is trying here. There's 2 tiers of buttons along with 2 rotary knobs, or on the left at least it looks like a rotary knob, but isn't. It's a little confusing to use. The left one controls the screen up here for your cluster, and then the right one controls your infotainment. That's pretty standard. But because of how it's laid out, they're kind of like canted backwards. They're not as easy to use as the previous generation, which I personally liked. There's nothing wrong with it. It was a little bit chunkier, but yes, this looks more appealing, but it's all high gloss plastic and it's just smudgy over time. But I do like the AMG dials underneath, so you're very easily able to go from your comfort mode to your individual to sport, sport plus, and a whole bunch more configuration can be done with the left dial as well. So there's a lot that you can do here. Speaking of a lot that you can do, the cluster. There's a million different ways that you can customize your cluster to have it whatever way that you want. Currently, I have it set up at the Super Sport mode, which is my personal favorite, but you can change it to whatever way you want, and there's literally a million things you can do in here. There's even a heads-up display. It shows your speed, tach, as well as a shift light, which is nice. But the infotainment and the cluster, that's the main attraction here, as it's one, well, what looks like one big display, really, there are two. The infotainment, it is touchscreen, which is the preferred method of using the screen. There is this touchpad on a wheel. I don't like it that much. It doesn't work the way I want it to. There's also the touchpad down here, but that also doesn't work the way I want it to. But what you can do is you can be like, hey Mercedes,
how can I help?
Activate my massaging seats.
I'm sorry, can you say that again, please?
Activate my massaging seats.
I'm switching on the massage.
I mean, it works. Just not well and is not as fast as you may like. But honestly, because of how many menus there are, that voice activation system, while it does take a little bit of time to use and to learn, it's actually a little bit better than going through the menu. Because as you're driving along, if you were to try to find where that massaging seats is, you're probably going to end up in a ditch before you find it. There's just so many different menus. But there are customizable buttons that you can use, so it does help. But still, voice activation is probably a little bit better. Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Stop the massaging seats.
I'm switching off the massage.
For the more important buttons, like climate control, you still have a row of it here, which I love Mercedes for, as well as you have some dedicated kind of performance driving modes and buttons right down in the center here. So you can change your dynamic mode, your suspension, which is actually kind of duplicated with this little switch down here. But speaking of performance, let's talk about that engine. This engine is the M177 4-liter twin-turbo V8. It's a hot V, which means the turbos are able to spin up faster. So you get plenty of performance. As said, 602 horsepower, 627 pound-feet of torque. But instead of me telling you, why don't I show you what all that power means and how it drives on the road itself. On the road, and there's kind of two ways to drive your E63s wagon. There's the comfort mode, which I'm currently in right now. And it's a very laid-back, comfortable driving, just a everyday cruiser, because it drives like a car from every day. There's nothing really all that special about it. But that's good, because it's a wagon. It's for you to take your family for vacation across the globe. Maybe not the globe, but city, country, province, state, whatever. But it's a very comfortable vehicle to be in for that, because the suspension, while in comfort mode, it's nice and supple, it's soft. It's definitely not firm riding by any means, and it's quiet. There's enough sound insulation in here to make it just a very nice place to be. I don't have to worry about much, and yeah, it's fine. But when you decide that you want to be an idiot, just a little bit, like this on-ramp, you put it into Sport Plus, or even Race, and you floor it. And then it changes the absolute dynamics of this vehicle. Suspension is tighter, steering is tighter, and you get all that power underneath that right foot. It's ridiculous how fast this is. It's almost too much for everyday street, because when you're driving around normally, you're not going to be utilizing 600 plus horsepower. On the track, maybe. And that's the best thing. You can take this to the track. I just don't know how many people are going to, other than maybe Savage Geese, as he literally took it to the track and had a lot of fun with it. But for regular folks like me, and maybe yourself, you're not gonna probably buy this to go on a track. You're probably gonna buy something else. Because if you're able to afford this, you're able to afford something else as a track day car. You're probably not gonna take your entire family to a track day. But if you do, let me know in the comments below. I want to see you on YouTube, Instagram, whatever it may be, because that is absolutely amazing, and I want to see what you do, and I want to see all of it. Document it all. I want to see it. Leave your links in the comment section, of course. And yeah. One thing I do have to say, while driving it on the highway, the radar guided cruise control, while that works really well, the lane keep is kind of meh. It doesn't keep me as well as some other manufacturers. Like Tesla, I hate to compare Tesla, but their kind of driving guidance, it's really, really good. It really keeps you within the lane. This, it's not designed to. It's still designed for you to be the driver, but the vehicle can take over where needed. But for example, right now, if I try to cross over the right shoulder here, nothing. I'm over the shoulder. The vehicle didn't alert me because it can't see the line as well. Some other manufacturers should be able to see that line. I mean, the line and road markings here in BC is absolutely atrocious, but that's besides the point. And that's really all I gotta say while driving it anyways. Let me find a good place to, oh, this looks pretty good, to pull over here and summarize everything up. All right, the Mercedes-Benz E63s AMG Wagon. I mean, this is a marvel. It truly is. It's comfortable enough for every day, but hardcore enough for track duty. You can lock it into rear-wheel drive for some amazing drifts, or use it in slippery mode to get you out of snow or sticky situations. It's one of those vehicles that really does it all. It's not an SUV, it's a wagon, and that is cool. And it truly fits the bill. That is, if you can afford the bill, because the base price of this comes in at just under 128,000 Canadian dollars. As tested, it's 140,000. It's definitely not cheap, but it is less than the equivalent GLE. And that's some really great consumer news, because if you're looking for a GLE 63S, don't get that. Get this. Be cool. Be a wagon person and get an E-Wagon. It's bigger. It's cooler. It's sleeker, maybe. I mean, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and we'll catch you next time. Take care, everyone.